Welcome back to the channel. I'm Nicholas, and today I will be working on my Miller 330 ABP. This is a TIG specific machine. It can do stick welding and all that, but it was mainly made for TIG welding. And I got a radiator one on top of it, and it's all hooked up and everything. But I'm having some issues with it. Mainly, I was welding the other day, the aluminum grill for the L1000, and I listened behind me, and I hear a sort of hissing sound, and it sounded like bearings were screeching, and it only would come and go in little like pulses almost, you could say. And there's only one thing that's moving in this welder, and that's the fan. So I have a sneaky suspicion it's the fan. Now I do have it powered up right now, and I'm going to see if I can replicate the problem for the camera, but I need to resolve this issue before I continue welding because I don't want to burn the fan motor up or anything while I'm welding, and I don't want the fan to come apart while I'm welding either and destroy something inside, something that I might not be able to replace very easily. So it's been a good machine to me, so I don't want to just scrap it just because there's a fan motor going bad or something. So I'm going to try and pull the fan motor out, which is not going to be fun, but we'll figure a way out to, around that, because I have the tank mounted to the back of it. I don't want to get into removing all that, but if I have to, I will. So I'm just going to try and resolve the issue right now of possibly re-grease the bearings, because I have a feeling that's what it is just the bearings. Hopefully they're not shielded in metal and they're little rubber covers, and I can pop those off, put some more grease in it, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to turn the machine on first. I'm going to turn the cooler on because this has a bronze gear pump inside of it, and I want to make sure that that's not squealing. Now, this guy's easy. There's nothing wrong with this one. I've just oiled the bearings on this one probably 100 hours ago, so it's getting closer. I probably should put more oil in it, but I know that that's not the issue right now. And if you look right here, when I turn the welder on, you'll see it'll start its running cycle, and you'll see water start to flow through this. So we're going to turn this guy on. Already you can hear the chatter. We have water flowing. So I don't know if you can hear it, but it's got a kind of a rattling sound. So I'm going to give it a second, see if we can get into some screeching. All right, I have the radiator off right now. You can still kind of hear it. It's not squealing yet, but those bearings are dry. So I'm going to power the machine off. You can really hear it there. Like I said, there's only one thing that's moving in this, and that's the fan, the cooling fan. So I'm going to give it a few minutes. Let me cut the power off to it on the disconnect. All right, second one done. Put this guy right here. Now, this guy right here is your relay box. You always want to check these if you're ever having issues with any, like the start circuit not working, the high frequency circuit not working, any main circuit that deals with this welder. Always come to these relays and make sure you're getting proper continuity through it. The manual does have great diagrams that show you where everything goes, so it's pretty easy to sort out. But just use these as your starting point whenever you're trying to solve an issue on these machines. Always start here and cleaning the points on the machine, but start here and then work your way into the machine. All right, so here's the guy that we're trying to get to right now. This is the balancing resistor, so you would turn this on if you're TIG or stick welding. So I got to figure out a way to get all this out because I don't want to remove the back shroud because I have the tank mounted back here. So I get to figure this out. I think the best way to do this is probably going to be to remove the fan if I can. Sometimes they get pretty stuck on there, so we'll see what happens with that, but hopefully it comes right off and we'll be able to start disassembling everything. Now, I will recommend when you're taking these wires off and disconnecting them, make sure you're labeling everything. It does have numbers for each wire throughout the entire welder, so do not use brake clean on the wires to clean them. It's oftentimes just shop dust. So like a quick connect cleaner or anything like that for any electrical work that will not remove paint, that is a great cleaner if you really need to clean the wires. But I would recommend just getting everything out and then brushing it down and blowing it out with the transformer or the compressor. All right, I got the balancing resistor off. So now I have a lot better access to everything because this guy was in the way. It's not perfect access, like it could be better, but I'll take it. It's more space. All right, I got the fan undone. Had to just push it off. Now I'm gonna pull this guy out. Of course, the light's in the way. All right, I got the fan off. Now, I'm gonna take 3/8 ratchet. All right, I got all 4 of them. Just pick the fan motor up and then slide her on out. All right, I got the fan motor resting in there. So I'm gonna cut this little baby zip tie so that I can move the wires around freely and get to these splices. Now, like I said before, all the wires in Miller welders, I don't know about other companies, they label all their wires. But to make it easier on myself, I'm gonna mark them with some tape. Now you can do 2 things. The tape method, just tape one side. Or you can mark it with like a silver Sharpie. But this method works pretty good and I have tape right here, so I'm gonna rock that. All right, now that I got them marked, undo the connections. Maybe. Yikes. There we go. And then take our fan motor out. So now we can start taking this apart. All right, I'm ready to take this guy apart. Never taken one apart before, so we'll see how this goes, but try some test hits. Just gently, don't want to waller the end. It's definitely coming out. There we go. I have to pull the sheathing off. Yeah, I will. So they are rubber seals, so that's really positive. Means I can get a pick down in there, get them off, shove some grease down in. This front support bearing isn't as bad, but this rear one, I hope you can hear that. That little feller, he's getting worn out. All right, so one thing you want to check when you're making sure these bearings are good is you want to sit here and push back and forth like this. Make sure there's no slop. If there is a lot of slop, then that can usually mean that it's bad and needs to be replaced. So to get these off, I'm going to start with a really fine pick that's been ground down. And you're going to break the seal a little bit. You just gently want to push in there. Maybe I'll go to this pick. These guys are old, so they're a lot harder. Just gently pry it up. Now you can see right there, grease is completely dry. Let's see if I can get it to focus. It's not working on it, but it's pretty dry. Now this guy is going to be a little bit more difficult because of the angle. The grease is a lot more fluid in here. Now I'm going to clean the stator with some electromotive. It's just non-conductive cleaner so that you can clean electrified parts. I'm obviously not electrified right now, but when it is, even if I don't completely dry it, it'll be all right. So just going to spray it down. I'm going to take a piece of Scotch-Brite, coil it up, and I'm just trying to clean the inside of the stator. I'm not trying to take material off or anything like that. I'm just trying to get all the big stuff off, so it's a little bit cleaner. Same thing with the rotor. Just make sure it's nice and clean. I've already done this guy once. All the bearings are clean now. So the next step is going to be take the grease you're going to pack it in there. Just going to wipe the excess off with my finger. You don't need a whole lot, just enough to coat the bearings. And then start on one side and you just push the seal back in. And that's one bearing done. Now we're just going to drop our spring pack in. Make sure she's straight. Slip right in. And as you can hear, it's a lot quieter. It sounds like a normal bearing now. So once it heats up, it'll really start to get the grease down inside there into the bearing, and it'll be really good to go. All right, so I didn't show it on the camera, but I did end up taking the whole thing apart again, the fan motor, and I had to zip tie the coils because I completely forgot about that. So it is what it is. All right, now that I got the motor mounted back in, now we gotta put the fan in. If I can figure out how I got it out. There we go. Ah, it's gone backwards. Now I'm going to put a tiny dab of anti-seize for the next guy, which would end up being me most likely. All right. Now I got to throw the panel back on. All right, I got the side panel back on. I got the power turned on to the machine. Breaker didn't trip, so that's a start. But here we go. Much quieter. No crazy rattles or anything like that. Never heard the machine sound like this. Wow, it's so much quieter. Make sure everything still works there. So that's good to go. It's one thing fixed. If you want to see any more content like this of me fixing the welders up and using these old welders, they're definitely not as efficient as like an inverter welder, but I would venture to say that it's more reliable welder. Let me knock on some wood with that, but they're very simple machines. The wiring diagrams are super easy to follow. If you ever have any issues, don't freak out or nothing. You just start to problem solve. And really the biggest thing with these guys is you want to check your spark gap, which is right there, and make sure nothing's leaking. That's like the biggest thing. Make sure your leads are all in working order, nothing's corroded, make sure they're clean. Maintain your cooler. This one's been rebuilt. Now it does have a leak on the back because I didn't tighten the compression fitting, of course, in the hardest spot to get to. I did tighten it, just not enough. They like to leak up here a lot just from vibration, but they're all basic grommets. Everything's basic to these. Everything's standard, so they're super easy to rebuild. You can just get new water lines made out of gas line, nothing crazy. The clear ones are nice because you can see where the water's at when you're trying to bleed the system. So, yeah, just if you ever have a broken 330 ABP, have faith in it. It can be fixed. But today this was easy. We just had to finish fixing the bearings and the fan. So could have been a lot worse. It wasn't. I'm thoroughly impressed with how easy it was. So y'all have a good one. I'll see you in the next video. Again, if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, just subscribe and leave me a comment. Tell me what you want to see. I got a bunch of lathes and everything that I'll eventually be showing on the channel, and machining and stuff like that. So y'all have a blessed one, and I'll see you in the next video.